Yo guys, welcome to a new video. A lot of you have been asking me about how I learned to spray, and in specific how to spray transfer. You guys have been asking me all over Twitter DMs and also like beneath my Twitch streams, in my YouTube comments. So seeing all your questions made me want to make a video on the topic. First of all, I'll be going over how I personally learned my sprays. I'll talk about how long it really took me to master the AK and the M4A4 and M4 silence sprays, and whether you should spend time mastering other weapons as sprays. I'll be talking about spray transferring, how got good at it, and how you could improve on it as well.
To that mid, keep default one. Stairs default on their balcony. One more.
I've always been fascinated with spraying. Back when I had like 50 hours, when I was a Gold Nova 1 playing matchmaking during the summer of 2017, I I've always thought, that it was fascinating how some players were able to get all their bullets to kind of group up in the same place. Because my spray at the time, it was just wild. It was just all over the place. So I've always been fascinated by it, and like at my early hours, I would like already start to practice it. Well, back when like in warm up or in retake servers, community servers, whatnot, I would just like shoot at walls, randomly at all times, try and get the sprays down. And I would practice it that way back then. Until I got better, I realized there were some workshop maps. I downloaded aimbots and downloaded some other map called Recoil Master, I think it's called, and I slightly started to get better over time. But what I would do back in the day, like when I was really bad at the game, I would just try and see what the spray even was, like try and see where it would go, like it went up, then left, then right, then left again. So I assume it would go, I need to go down, then a bit right, then a bit left, then right again. So I would just try and practice it at like walls and stuff because I didn't know better at the time. And I got pretty good at it, like before I knew it, like all my first templates were like bunched up all together. Obviously it wasn't as good as it now, but it was still pretty decent. Um, but when I started to get the hang of workshop maps, like I downloaded many, tested out a lot of them, and aimbots was one of my favorites. So what I would just do is just always you still use the wall method, right? Just try and spray at the walls, try and get all the bullets to group up at one place. But then I realized, like why don't I do it with the bots? I would just like start to spray, try and like spray transfer in between, slowly like start to try and spray transfer, right? And when you flick from one bot to the other, right? It's flicking, but flicking in an angle where your spray is gonna be, right? So I'll show you, right? So I'm gonna pull down on this bot, then I'm gonna like aim a bit down here when I spray transfer it to this bot. You see, like I went from one target to the other, but I kind of adjusted my aim to be able to spray transfer and get the spray onto the next target, right? Then I'll do it with this bot and then this bot, and I'll transfer it to this bot as well. And I'll probably go from like going down to left and then to down right here. I'll show you right now. You see? So I went from like normally spraying to down left and then to like kind of bottom right kind of. This is a big thing, aim, right? But it's also mostly hand-eye coordination, being able to go from one place to the other and also anticipating the spray. I'll show you once again, right? I'll like go between these like all the time. I'll show you right now. Really just trying to get the hand-eye coordination to be as good as possible. Um, and before you know it, when you're doing this, by the time you know it, you're gonna get a spray transfer like this in game. Like you're shooting at someone you're seeing like you're in a gunfight with, and suddenly some other player runs across into your screen, and you're like, where does he come from? And you don't even think about it. You just like kind of go like this. Oh, one more. Oh, one more. And you just kind of just keep transferring, and you don't even realize when you do it. It just happens like automatically. Okay, and now I'll go into the other map that I really like a lot. I think it's called Recoil Master. Yeah, Recoil Master. And I think this is the best map if you don't just fully don't understand like what the sprays look like, where like how to pull down, etc., etc. This is like for the beginners like most useful, but I also think it could be useful for like with the more experienced players. Because I mean, I myself like for the longest time, I currently have like 9,000 hours, right? Like just 5,000 hours in, I realized, I was playing slightly off with the AK. I think like going like this and then left and then right, and then I stopped there instead of going back left a bit. You see, like it goes left again for the last couple of bullets. So it really like opened my eyes, and like you could also practice these other guns. Um, I'll like show you guys like what like you gotta make sure that everything gets into the dot, and like the small green stuff, the small green circle, like shows where like the mouse has to be kind of, if that makes sense, or the cursor has to be, if that makes sense. Like I'm not looking at the green dot itself. I'm like just kind of looking at my bullets where they're going. But I also see like notice subconsciously that my crosshair like follows the green dot as well. Like a long period of doing this until it really got good, like my sprays with all the guns. And I would always like use this, I don't know, like yeah, like whatever this is, like a model, to just like try and everything, get everything at head level, it's something I would do. And recently I started doing it with the Silence M4 as well because obviously like it's really meta right now the past year. Um, and it's probably the easiest spray in the game. And that's why I feel like T sides are so much harder now for me as well, because like everyone can basically use this gun now. Like all you really need to do with this is just like go down a bit, go right like slightly, and then go left all the way. It's like super easy to use. Like, and all the bullets basically go super accurate as well, much more accurate like than the AK or the M4A4. And it kills super fast. The fire rate is like incredibly high. But yeah, this is all I used to do to really get the spray down, and like combine that with like spraying at a wall, try and get everything in the same place, or spray like an aimbots. Um, that's like all I basically did. And then in aimbots, I practiced like the spray transfers, and before I knew it, I was just doing these crazy spray transfers in game. I wasn't really like trying to go for them on purpose. It just kind of happened. Just the hand-eye coordination thing just happens automatically when like some other target appears on your screen, and when you practice it for so long in aimbots, it just happens on its own. I think for me, it took like the AK was probably the first gun I mastered really fast. I think in the first 2,000 hours or so, or like 1.5k hours or so, I really got it down easily. The M4A4 was a bit harder, but I got that down easily as well. I think 2.5k, 3k hours or so. A1S was like next to the AK, super easy, got it down super fast. Um, and yeah, I also did it with the Krieg. I haven't tried to spray with the Krieg in so long actually. But yeah, it also had like a spray. Let's see if I. Yeah, see, it's terrible. Like the first 10 bullets or like first 15 bullets are good, but after that, I really forgot about it. But the spray is also kind of hard with this now because, the fire rate's been changed, so like the spray doesn't feel the same anymore. But yeah, that's basically like how I practice all my guns. Um, there's also like SMGs you could practice. Personally, I don't practice other guns like MP9s, MAC-10s, because mostly when you don't have money, you just eco, you just get a Deagle P50, make sure you get an M4 next round. When you're force buying, I usually get like maybe an MP9, and I don't really like practice for mouse or anything like that. I just with the MP9, it's kind of like burst most of the times, like super close range. I would spray and I would just like kind of go down. But I don't really like spray too much. Let me try and control the spray of this. It's gonna be terrible, but let's see. Wait, let's try that again. Hold on. See, like I'm trying to control it, but it's going all over the place. So that's why long distance, like medium to long range, I kind of burst with it. Maybe spray like the first like 10 bullets or so, like medium distance. Super close range, I just kind of like spray, like just run like AD and counter and spray. Super long range, I just like burst. Like bursting, super accurate. People call this the laser gun of the game. Like it's incredibly overpowered this gun, I feel. But yeah, that's basically how I did it. I don't recommend like practicing most other guns, except maybe the MP9 and MAC-10. The UMP is terrible. Krieg is terrible. You could try the AUG, but it is expensive. The Silence M4 is super cheap and the best gun in the game right now, and if you've got that covered, then you should be good to go. And then obviously the AK-47, of course. But yeah, it's a long process, guys, for sure.